Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome to the Memorial Day session of the 10K project. Hold on, everybody. Here we go. I had a place that was still talking back to me. I hope you're doing well today. Thanks for joining me. Happy Memorial Day. Shout out to all the veterans, all of the families of veterans, the military brats out there. Shout out to everybody. Hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. It's almost over. But, we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Black business just overall. I found an interesting article, and then from there were a couple of other things that were unfolded based on the article that I found. So I just wanted to come and do our normal session today. So it is officially 6 o'clock. We're going to get started on the dot, and we may have some of you even come on and, audio only, tell me what you think about tonight's topic as we go through it. So for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Cherie of the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. The way that we do that is through something called equity crowdfunding. Think of it kind of like Shark Tank, a very loose version is what we do. First of all, equity crowdfunding is governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA, so it is overseen by the government. But what we do is every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we do something called a Bet on Black pitch. We invite an entrepreneur, a Black entrepreneur who is raising funds through equity crowdfunding. We invite them to come to our community. They come, they present their business to us. And then we, as the individuals within the community, get to ask that entrepreneur questions. And then based on the questions that we're asking, the responses that we're getting, if you like that business as an individual, you are able to invest in that business as an individual. And the investments are oftentimes as little as $100. We have had all sorts of companies come through, anything from cannabis, tech companies, a company that was dealing with porch pirates and solving that issue. Every Tuesday, we see absolute Black excellence coming through. So you can join us. Thanks, Alicia, for putting that link in. It's the10kproject.com if you want to join us to learn more. That's the big thing that we do within the 10K project, but we also do a couple of other things as well. So the first is, as these companies are raising money, and these companies can raise anywhere from $10,000 to $5 million, they oftentimes are going to use that money in order to hire people. And one of the things that we did not want to do is see that money leak out of the community. So we also created within our Knowledge Center, we have something called the Expert Directory. Everyone is an expert in something. You are able to, as a member of the 10K Project, you're able to add your information to the Expert Directory. And then if and when either an entrepreneur or a fellow member needs your products or services, they're able to go into the Expert Directory and find you. So we have had entrepreneurs come back to us after doing their fundraising and say, hey, I'm looking for XYZ type of people. We send them right to the Expert Directory. So if you are a member and you're not included in the Expert Directory, you are missing out on potential money for you and potential promotion that is absolutely a part of your membership. The third thing that we do is we also want to see you invest in other alternative assets. So we have on June 1st, which is Wednesday, there is a business buying initial introductory session that Curtis Witt is putting on. It is free for you to attend. I am going to put the link in the chat for the business buying mastermind intro session. And Talisha, if you would just take that and if you're able to, and just make sure that that is distributed. I'm also going to distribute it on YouTube and Facebook and our other platforms as well. But if you are able to, you want to attend that, we're going to talk tonight. One of the topics we're going to have tonight is, or the topic of the night is all about Black businesses and some of the economic impact that they can have and are not having currently because they're not strengthened enough. And one of the ways that we can strengthen our economy, strengthen our Black economy, is to not only start businesses, but start employer-based businesses, meaning businesses with employees. And we are also wanting to buy businesses as well. So I have put within YouTube and Facebook and Zoom. You all have the link there. Sign up. It's absolutely free. Go see what Curtis is doing. Curtis and Robin, they are a phenomenal team. And if you want to join their full Mastermind program, Tawana has taken it, Talisha has taken it. They bought a business, I think 2 weeks ago, something like that. I'm sure Tawana is going to definitely come back. Actually, we're going to have a session where they're going to come and talk about their experience. I think it's in a couple of weeks, but definitely want to make sure that you at least in the intro session and see what it's all about, because I was listening to a woman who said that if every Black family bought a house and bought a business, we could be millionaires. I don't know how close we could be to millionaires, but it's definitely one of those things where, you know, just buying a house and paying it off for most of us in the country is $300,000. So if we did that and we bought a business, we probably could have a family that is in the $1 million status with regards to valuation. So Talisha's saying, highly recommend the Business Buying Mastermind. Yeah, I mean, I took the first few sessions and it was really great. And I also have a friend of mine who took it as well, who's very high level business. I mean, this guy does multi billions of dollars in sales, and he was taking it and he was telling me how much he enjoyed it and some of the things that he learned. And he and another partner now are in the process of potentially buying a logistics business. And a lot of the stuff that he learned from that session, they're going to transfer over to this logistics company. And the interesting thing is the two partners that are buying that business are Black, and they're buying it from a white gentleman, and it already has contracts. So it's a logistics company that already has contracts. And I was telling them, look, now it's going to be Black owned. You all can go turn it into an 8A company, a minority owned company. They're also both veterans as well. And you all can get more contracts, having it be veteran owned and potentially 8A. So, you know, we're able to take these majority owned companies that are already cash flowing, grow them more, turn them into minority owned businesses, and increase the valuation of them. So I definitely suggest that as well. So somebody tell me what you all ate for Memorial Day. Did y'all bust your diets? Did you blow your diets this weekend? Yeah, barbecue today, mac and cheese, collard greens. What did y'all eat? I'm being nosy now. I've been in the office pretty much all day, so I did not get to enjoy Memorial Day. I have a couple of projects due, but nobody's talking in the chat. Y'all must be still at the barbecue, but tuned in. I appreciate you being here. So you can put in later on what you had at your respective barbecues. So, okay. So tonight's topic is based on an article that I read, and I just kind of want to go over it with you and a couple of other things. And Talicia's saying I'm still packing, but hoping for someone to bring me some barbecue. I know that's right, girl. Okay, so I actually read this article a while ago from the Brookings Institute. And you know, the Brookings Institute does a a lot of studying about Black economics and the Black family and generational wealth and things like that. And I don't know, several times a year they come out with a new article. And even though this article is from February 2022, I thought it had some great things for us to think about as 10K Project members, both individually and collectively, that we may want to discuss this evening. So the report is Black-owned businesses in the US cities, the challenges, solutions, and opportunities for prosperity. It's by Andre Perry, Regina Seo, Anthony Barr, Carl Romer, and Kristen Brody. Again, came out February 2022. Before we go through the article itself, I just want to take you to blackdemographics.com. If you're not familiar with blackdemographics.com, it has a lot of different statistics on the Black economy. A lot of these statistics come from the US government, whether it's the Census Bureau or the Bureau of Labor Statistics or other places like that. But there is a specific, let's see here. Well, I wanted to show you this, but for some reason it's supposed to show Black business job creation, and it's supposed to show, let's see. Here we go. So let me make this bigger for everybody here as well. Okay, so one of the things that we know within the Black community is that we do have a higher unemployment rate than other communities. And this chart right here explains a lot of the reason why. And it also ultimately explains what I feel is the major importance of the 10K Project and what we're doing within the community to help solve this problem. So when we look at the jobs that are created, oftentimes nepotism is real. Nepotism is your family has a business and you get a job because your family has a business. The other thing that is real is networking, and the networks you have cause you to get new job opportunities. So there was a stat that I read once that said 40% of people that get jobs get them because they know somebody who is either the hiring manager or the entrepreneur, and they get into the position. So 40% of the jobs are not advertised that are out there. So there's also 11 million job openings out right now. But the problem is that a lot of our younger people, especially, are not skilled in the coding, the tech, things like that in order to be able to access these jobs. The final thing is there was a report that said that people tend to hire within their own ethnicity. So Asian people tend to hire within their own ethnicity. Hispanic people tend to hire within their own ethnicity. And of course, white people tend to hire within their own ethnicity. And part of the reason why Black unemployment is higher than other demographics is because we don't have enough employer-based companies out there. Employer-based companies are companies that actually employ other people full-time, pay living wages, potentially benefits, things like that. So within Black demographics, this is from 2017, but the numbers are probably still pretty close. So white-owned employers create 56.8 million jobs, and they can employ 39% of all working age white adults. They have an annual revenue of 11.6 trillion, enough to give each working age white adult $80,000 a year. Asian community creates 4.7 million, again, could employ 38% of all working age Asian adults. So white and Asian people are creating sustainable economic platforms for themselves. And we've heard people talk about it, but I like to bring the numbers in just so you can see it like for yourself and why people are able to make these assertions. So their annual revenue is 814 billion. It's enough to give 65,000 to every Asian American. Then Hispanics create 2.9 million jobs. They can employ 8% of their people, have an annual revenue of $422 billion, enough to pay $11,000 per year. And then Black people, we create 1.2 million jobs, enough to employ 5% of our people. Our annual revenue is 127 billion, enough to give each working Black adult, Black adult, 4,800 per year. So one of the things that you can notice from this, just seeing this chart here, is we are not creating enough businesses that have enough revenue in order to really begin hiring our own people. And this article here talks about it a little bit, talks a little bit more about the problem. They do talk a little bit about their solution as well. I am not a fan of their solution, but we can talk here in the chat. It's open. If you all agree with the solution, I am more than happy to hear your thoughts about this. But in the meantime, Beulah in the chat is saying, I'm eating watermelon cherries and Sonic twisted pretzel and strawberry slush. I have meatless Mondays. I love it. And then Denise is saying we need job creators, entrepreneurs needed. Yeah, so one of the things that we're seeing within a lot of the news is that especially Black women are creating the most businesses that are out there. And I've been doing, Robin, yes, is there a link to the solution? Yes, I'll put the link in here as well for you, Robin. But one of the things for the entrepreneurs, we need job creators, entrepreneurs needed. We are seeing a lot of articles out here praising, especially Black women, for creating the most amount of businesses out there, which in my opinion means we're following the most LLCs. However, in the Black community, Black men and Black women, if we are not creating businesses that are employer-based businesses, that where we're able to hire an average of 10 to 20 to 30 people per business, then we're not going to be able to really rise up economically in the country. If you look at the other ethnicities that are out there, I'll take the nail salon just because I was there yesterday. You go to any nail salon and there are what, 5, 6, 10 of them in there, and they're all over the place, right? If you look at Hispanic businesses, construction businesses, there are a lot of them working together. And I don't believe this BS that Black people can't work together. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Black people can't work together. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's hopeless. I don't think all Black people can work together, but one of the reasons why we created the 10K project and I believe in it so much is because I do believe Black people can work together. And Talicia's saying this article is previously posted in the FB group. Yeah, I wanted to definitely make sure we had a chance to talk about it tonight. But yeah, I believe we can work together. And I think that part of what we need is a core group of people who believe we can work together in order to solve this problem. And solving the problem is not just more businesses, it is more businesses that are, number 1, employer-based businesses, and number 2, that have high enough margins for us as a community, as a people, as an economy to be successful. So I'm gonna go through this article. Talicia Sand, she reposted it. Oh, great, fantastic, Talicia. Here is the article link for anybody who wants to follow along, but I'm going to just read some of it here. And there's actually parts of it that I highlighted so we can move along a little bit faster. So according to the Federal Reserve, let me make this bigger for everybody as well. Let's see here. According to the Federal Reserve in 2019, the median net worth of white families was $188,000, 7.8 times of their Black peers at $24,000. That wealth gap translates into many other disparities, including business ownership, which is heavily influenced by individual and family wealth. In 2019, there were a total of 5.7 million employer firms or businesses with more than one employee, of which only 2.3% were Black owned. Even though we're 14.2% of the country population, we only have 2.3% of the employer owned firms. So one of the things in the article that they talk about is the fact that we were deeply impacted by not being able to get PPP loans. And even though in the article they say that a lot of it was due to, lack of employees, I personally believe a lot of it was also due to like the fact that we may not have had our taxes current and other things within the system that was precluding us from getting some of these loans. So let me move further down. Oh, I didn't remember it being that far. Hold on. Let me come back up here then. Let me start reading here. In support of the Path to 1555 initiative, which endeavors to grow the percentage of Black-owned employer firms, Brookings published To Expand the Economy, Invest in Black Businesses, a report that used the Census Bureau's 2019 annual business survey to calculate the national proportion of Black and non-Black businesses in the prior year. The report also calculated the businesses, jobs, and revenue the nation would gain if the percentage of Black-owned employer firms equaled the proportion of Black people in the country's population. In this report, we examined those same projections at the metropolitan level using 2018 and 2020 ABS data. Additionally, we explore policy solutions that get to the heart of Yellen's assertion, recommending structural changes that will enable the economy to work for entrepreneurs of all races. I can tell you right now, their solutions are all government-based. So, but what I liked about it was they have here, before illuminating the lack of Black-owned businesses in U.S. metropolitan and the structural reasons behind it, the interactive below presents the revenue, jobs, and wages that places would gain if the percentage of employer firms that are Black-owned was on par with the metro area's Black population share. We assume an expansion in the size of the economy such that no gains in Black business revenue or size come at the expense of non-Black businesses. So it doesn't have to be one of those things where we take from other people in order to have parity ourselves. The estimations are based on revenue and payroll data from 2018 ABS. So as everybody, you all can grab that link and come here and check out your own metropolitan area. I really like this here. It says, what if Black businesses reach parity with all businesses? So you can select the metropolitan area. Right now we have here Birmingham, and it's saying there are 693 Black businesses accounting for 4% of employer businesses. If Black businesses accounted for 31.6%, this is again in Birmingham, of employer firms, there would be 8,400 more Black businesses. This is again in Birmingham. And then they say, Black businesses create an average of 4 jobs per firm compared to 23 for all businesses. If the average employees per Black business reached parity, it would create approximately 12,900 new jobs. And again, most of those jobs would most likely go to other Black individuals. So that way we could reduce our unemployment rates, which are usually higher than other ethnicities. Black businesses pay their employees an average of $36,000 compared to $53,000 for all businesses. If Black businesses paid this much, then those employees would see an increase in total pay by approximately $52 million. Again, $52 million just in Birmingham. Imagine $52 million going into Black Birmingham, what the impact could be. If the number of Black businesses matched the population size and the employees per firm matched the average business, it would create 206,441 jobs. Okay, so again, you're able to take this. You can look at look for your area and see what the data will tell you in your area. I kind of like that though. Black businesses are prevalent in the Southeast, but still far below the Black population share. A lot of Black people live in the Southeast, so that doesn't surprise me. No metro areas in the United States has a share of Black-owned employer firms that matches or exceeds the Black population in the area. Among 69 metro areas for which the 2020 ABS reports data, the highest proportion of Black-owned firms among employer businesses is in Fayetteville, North Carolina at 11.2%. So shout out to Fayetteville, y'all are really close. If anybody's in North Carolina, put a 3 in the chat so we can recognize you. Congratulations to North Carolina. Table 1 displays the 10 metro areas with the highest representation of Black employer firms in 2019. It shows Black entrepreneurs have found a niche in the Southeast, which features a high number of Black residents, a lower cost of living, and a historical lineage of Black people supporting Black-owned businesses. So you all can see here that number 1 is California, Ventura, number 2 is St. Louis, Fayetteville, LA, DC, Worcester, Cape Coral, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, San Francisco, and Rochester. So those are the places with the highest percentage of Black-owned employer firms, which we're trying to get higher within the country. So I'm going to go down a little bit further here. Black-owned businesses are much more likely to be non-employer firms or sole proprietorships. In 2019, only 4.1% of Black-owned businesses were employer firms compared to 19% of white businesses. So it's basically a 4x. If Black businesses accounted for 14% of employer firms, equivalent to the Black population share, there would be basically 800,000 more Black businesses. So in this section, they talk about the pandemic affecting Black business owners worse than other racial groups. I'm not going to go through a lot of this, but they do say here, most small business owners reported experiencing financial hardship during the pandemic, but the highest rate was amongst Black business owners. We had 92%. 92% of us were experiencing financial hardship, which is not surprising because a lot of our businesses tend to run on thinner margins. We tend to use our savings in order to start and grow our businesses versus being able to access capital. We tend not to have people we could call on and say, hey, can you give me 20,000 in order to keep my business afloat? All of those things are included in the reasons why we would tend to have harder financial hardships. So according to the SBCS, approximately 79% of Asian American owned firms and 77% of Black owned firms reported that their financial condition was poor or fair, while only 54% of white owned firms reported similar conditions. I'm going to ask in the chat, can you tell me why only 54% of white owned firms had financial condition issues versus Asian American and Black owned firms? If you all were watching the news, outside of the PPP loans and not being able to get the PPP loans, does anybody know why only 54%? Education and experience, that's a part of it. Beulah's saying we have people who do not have the experience or education needed for jobs. We were far behind in males, that's true. I looked a 4-page election ballot. We had 2 African Americans on the ballot. Just because they're African Americans doesn't mean they're going to vote your interests. So, but I know that's a political thing. We have over 100,000 plus population and still are going to higher education to be able to take leads in business. Yeah. Robin is saying education experience. I'm going to, Carlos is saying locations and customer service. Okay, so there were 2 primary reasons why white-owned firms didn't get hit as badly as black-owned firms. This is in my research and my understanding. Number one is we tend to have more customer-facing businesses than white-owned firms. So we tended to be restaurant owners or people who were actually serving clients face-to-face, barbers, beauticians, things like that. Number two is very closely aligned to this, is that a lot of white-owned firms had the ability to work from home. So they were still able to generate revenues. If you were a tech company, if you were certain types of government contractors that were able to work from home, you were able to generate revenue, pay your employees to work from home, and you didn't skip a beat. Whereas even with Asian Americans, 79%, well, what kinds of businesses do they tend to own? They tend to own more customer facing. So one of the things that I think we can pick up from what happened in the pandemic that nobody had planned for was, how can we start different types of businesses, have more variety within our Black-owned employer-based businesses, so that we don't have another situation where 77% of our Black-owned firms are incapacitated because of a financial event. Robin is saying, in financial literacy of that money and finances. I agree with that too. A lot of us, myself sometimes included, have poor financial habits, personal financial habits that bleeds over into the business. Beulah is saying we do not have the technology skills needed for businesses. So Beulah, I would challenge us to say, what can we do to get there? I agree with you that well, we have a couple of people that have their hands raised. So I definitely, Michelle or Beulah, if either of you want to have your hands raised, if either of you want to talk, let me know and I'll unmute you. If not, then put your hand down so I can make sure not to call on you. But Talisha, if Talisha's still here, I don't know how many of us are tech professionals. If you could put that in the chat, if you know. Beulah, I'm gonna allow you to talk. Hi, Beulah, if you wanna unmute yourself, 34%. Okay, so 34% of 20 million Black adults are in tech. We could teach each other. Hi, Beulah.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you doing?
That's fine. For somebody that's worked in higher education for 22 years, I have seen the decline in African American men going into coming into the university, whether it be at the community college level or going to a technical center for learning. Heck, I'm trying to encourage people to become the HC the getting electricians. They're getting paid more than the person sitting behind the desk. Learning to be the computer technician instead of the person running the computer, because that person, the technician, gets paid more than the person is running the computer. But the people don't. I've noticed that we living in a society down where that we want it right now, where it used to, when I was coming through, my mama didn't want me to work in a factory. So she did everything they could to get us into college so that we would not have to, go to an assembly line. But now, today, these young people don't want that. They want it right now. We worked off a delayed gratification, but they want to be gratified right now with the best Nike, the Ralph Lauren, the all of the things that they think gives them status, but they don't have not two coins to rub together in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
what we
agree.
can do, we need to continue to encourage and individuals and have them take advantage of the programmings that are given to them in many cases, because we do have a lack of people, period, in jobs that they will take the time out. They say, well, I can't do it because I got to pay my car note, or I got to
Mm-hmm.
B, C, and
There's
D.
student loans and
Yeah, that
yeah.
they don't take advantage of the things that we have available to them. I here in Tennessee am a mentor
Mm-hmm.
to students, trying to encourage them to go to college. They're the first generation students.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I, I had 5 students last year, and the other 5, only 2 went to college. So and then we have a program here in Tennessee now where that students can go for the first 2 years for free, and it's to the community college, but
Mm-hmm.
and they're not taking advantage of that.
So
So
let me ask you for your 5 young people that you mentored. You said 2 of them went to college. Did any of them go to trade school or anything else? Because I don't necessarily believe that college is for everybody, but if a young 18-year-old wants to, get a plumbing or HVAC license, to me, that's still a win.
yes, because that's what I'm saying to them. As I'm saying, if you the opportunities, the free opportunities, we have what we call the Hope Scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
that it will pay for them to go to one of our technical schools where that
Mm-hmm.
they will learn HVC or become electricians or become plumbers or
Mm-hmm.
become beauticians or become auto mechanics. Uh, and they're not taking advantage of that. Those 3 that did not go to college, I as far as I know from the information I received and stuff, and try to communicate with them, that they didn't end up doing anything. I mean,
Yeah,
they
and
didn't.
that's sad. It really is. I mean,
And we,
I believe that you can do the best that you can, maybe out of the 3 of them, 2 of them later on, it could be in a couple of years, could be in a couple of decades, may say, okay, now I'm ready to finally take advantage of some of these things if they're still around. But I believe that once you, me, everybody in the chat, some of the other larger content creators, once we do the best we can with letting young people know that these things are available to you, that we're moving from um, a college diploma economy to a skill-based economy. And one of the
mhm,
best things you're going to want to do is to get skills, hard skills and soft skills that are going to be able to help you survive the next 50 to 60 years. I feel like once I encourage a young person to do that, you're doing it through your mentor program, we can't take those burdens on like completely. We as older people, as Gen Xers, all we could say is learn from our mistakes. Try not to take a whole bunch of college debt, because there are a lot of us still paying college debt that we
yes,
wish we didn't have, and try to find some skills where you can get an entry level position and then have those employers pay for, whatever additional education you need. I think that you've done your best, Beulah, and just try to talk to more people and more people, and don't sneeze on the 2 people that you did
oh
positively
no,
affect as
no,
well,
no.
because you never know. Like one of them may grow up to be the next Malcolm, or may grow up to be the next Robert F. Smith, or Pinky Cole of Slutty Vegan. Like I think that we also sometimes need to really applaud those that have taken our advice and are doing great things, and making sure that we are helping them through, through their adulthood.
I'm encouraging students even to go to the military.
Yeah, yeah.
My son went that direction. I
Hmm.
worked at university, and he could have went to school for free.
Hmm.
Uh, but he told me at 17 that, Mama, if you make me go to college, you just wasting your time and your money. So
And yeah.
I signed for him to go into the military at 17. His
Hmm.
daddy was a Scotch. His daddy wouldn't sign, and he told his dad, he said, "Daddy, you sign or I'll just wait until I turn 18 and I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he got 1 year of delayed entry for going
Mm-hmm.
into military when he was a junior in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up, making this say he made it a career. And so he just retired after 22 years in
Oh,
the military.
fantastic. And thank you to him for his service and you for being a military mom. I when my husband was alive, I'll tell y'all probably TMI, but when my husband was alive and we had, 3 kids living in the house, the oldest one just, he wasn't really progressing. He had graduated from high school. He didn't wasn't able to keep a job or anything like that. And I had to be the parent that put my foot down and say, hey, he's got to do something. Either he can't just lay around, right? He's got to either be in school or he's got to have a job that he's keeping, or I didn't even bring up the military. And he and his father, they sat down and he ended up enlisting as well. So sometimes young people need that. They need, to have an ultimatum. You're 18 years old and look, if you're going to school, that's one thing, right? If you have a full-time job and you're like, mom, let me save up, or stepmom, let me save up while I, get myself together, I'm all for it. But we're not going to sit here and sit on the couch and play Xbox all day or whatever they're playing. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's important. If because I think that one of the challenges that we do face though
mhm,
is our parenting. Our parents are sometimes not very much older than their children because they
mhm,
early, and so they did not get that. Still, we're still in that first generation. Even today, 2022, we are still first generation students going to college,
mhm,
and and so they don't have the involvement of their parents that has had the experience to tell them that you're going to be A B C D F G.
mhm,
They that we still today 2022 still do not still have an overwhelming number of students who are first generation, and we end up, particularly African American, if they do go to college, we
mhm.
lose them in the beginning. They do not they
They're not graduating.
not well, they leave school after the first year,
Yeah.
and then they don't go back to nobody's school.
Yeah.
So
We're
we
not.
started just
Yeah.
following those students,
Mhm.
and those
You have to
students.
prepare them for college as well. Going to college is it's a huge shift. I remember when I went to college, as much as, I thought I was prepared, that first semester, the depression really took over me. I'm like, oh my goodness, because you're away from everybody, everything you've known. And it was a real adjustment. I think that if you, a lot of parents don't realize how much of an adjustment it is for a lot of students. And some of it is financial for some
Mhm.
students as well. They're able to pay for the first semester, but not the second semester. And, all sorts of stuff are happening there. But I do want to get through the rest of the article as well, Beulah. So
Okay.
I'm going to allow you to come back, but I'm going to put you on mute for now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and I wanted to shout out to Brandon, who's saying educate ourselves and each other. Trina is saying I have been in business for 30 years at a state-approved tech school, or went to a state-approved tech school. I'm not sure which one you were saying, Trina, but that's great. I think that there are a lot of us in tech. Talisha saying a business should hire for the skills that they do not possess rather than having the expectation to do it all. That's why more employees are required. A lot of employers are hiring for certain skills that they need. So Trina's saying, not about my knowledge, experience, or success. Once you're successful, there begins to be roadblocks put to slow your continued success. True, which is why we need to have our own businesses in order to help. Um, our school issued over 100,000 certificates. less than 15% were Black people. Wow. Brandon is saying we can also teach them what we learned through our trials and errors. Military is a good option if you take advantage of the system. They are paying for my bachelor's degree and became one source of passive income through disability and retirement pay, and also provide me with free healthcare, not the best, but better than nothing. Congratulations, Brandon. I hope you are getting some at least good healthcare. And Trina's saying she owns a tech school. Trina, we're going to have you come and be a panelist one day, my dear, to talk about your tech school as well. And I see Latrice and Brother Delano in YouTube. And I also see Maurice in Facebook. So hey to everybody. Okay, Brother Delano saying, are there any Black think tanks that are specially geared to take over any industries that we dominate as customers? I haven't seen any think tanks. I do see certain groups of people that have been talking about like the natural hair care industry, entertainment. We have a 10K member that's talking a lot about the various parts of entertainment in the supply chain and looking at how we can get more of that. Yeah, I think that there are small groups out there where it's just a matter of us coming together, knowing what other people are doing. Us as the 10K community, as well as some other communities, being able to start funding these things, and us going in and buying and starting a lot of these businesses, and making sure that they are fully funded so that they can have the employees that are needed to push the ball forward. So with that, I'm going to come back to the article here. So reduced revenues due to the slowdowns and quarantines forced businesses to adapt their operations. Black and Asian American owned firms were most likely to reduce their business operations in response to the pandemic, 67% each, followed by Latino and white owned firms. So we talked about why that was happening. In response to financial challenges, Black business owners were the most likely to tap into their personal funds compared to Latinos, at 65%, Asian Americans at 65%, and white owners at 61%. So I would guess one reason why Asian American owners didn't have to tap into personal funds as much as they probably leave a certain amount of money in their businesses. So they may have had some operating cash flow to, in savings within their business accounts. That's just a guess though. I'm not completely sure. So here is when they talk about systemic policy failures kept pandemic aid from us. And I'm not going to read through this. And they start really talking about like the government really coming in to help Black businesses. They are saying here 46% of Black business owners reported concerns about personal credit scores or loss of personal assets. Black people had the lowest average credit score at 677. People with lower credit scores are more likely to pay higher fees to receive financial services and more likely to depend on alternative financial institutions, some of which are predatory lenders. So I know with myself, that's one of the things that I'm working on personally is trying to find more friendly funding options for Black businesses. Many Black businesses had greater luck pursuing loans from non-mainstream banks. I do know that that was true during PPP. So the pandemic has led to a surge in new Black-owned businesses. We do know that a recent Brookings report found that there has been a surge in new online micro businesses, which grew fastest among groups hit the hardest in the pandemic's economic shock. Among racial groups, Black owners account for 26% of all new micro businesses, up from 15% before the pandemic. So our goal is to grow these from micro businesses to employer-based businesses. That is how we are going to be able to really uplift Black economics in the community. Lower personal wealth inhibits Black business creation. this study from the Small Business Administration, the study finds that Black entrepreneurs are more likely to rely on personal credit cards to finance their business creation versus other groups who are able to, for example, tap into home equity lines of credit or get initial business loans. Or one of the things with the 10K project, I talked about this before, I had a client who had me write his business plan, had a dinner with some friends, raised $600,000 in practically an evening. You know, we tend not to have those resources, but by coming together as the 10K project, one of Tawana and I, one of like my major big goals, and Tawana's on for it as well, is for us to be able to raise $5 million for an entrepreneur in 48 hours. And we do that by having people come together in order to help fund these businesses. Now, all of our businesses don't need 5 million, but there will be some really good tech, AI plays, potentially cannabis plays that we can get into. And if we are really able to fund those businesses and make sure that they are fiscally sound, then all of us could potentially win. So let's see here. Federal and metropolitan policy solutions to expand Black business. So this is where they really get into the idea of the racial wealth gap versus racial wealth inequality. They talk a lot in this section about policies, about the government really coming in to fix the situation. Many of you know how I feel. If you're brand new to the 10K project, it's not that I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's just that I don't think the government is going to come in and do anything about it. So I do believe that real change is going to come from the ground up. It's going to have to come from us versus us always begging the government to help us. The government and President Obama did their part in a way by opening up the Jobs Act, opening up the Jobs Act so that equity crowdfunding could take place, so that we could participate as large groups of people participate in funding these businesses just like the rich used to do. And the rich would get richer because they would have the opportunity to buy Coinbase, for example, or Facebook, or these other big companies. They got a chance to buy them when they were small companies and growing. Buy into them, buy shares, and then be able to participate in that long-term success that they've had. Well, now we're able to do the same through the 10K project. But this article is saying there is a direct correlation between wealth and business development. And that is true. Again, we just talked about the angel investors that are able to get into a business early, see its success, buy shares early, and either participate in an IPO, standing for initial public offering, meaning that the stocks go on the stock market and we're able to sell them that way, or the business is acquired and we're able to get our money back that way. And then there are people that are also working on secondary markets where we'll be able to sell the shares, in a closed network. There are already some that are open, but there are people that are working on the legislation so that people like us can participate in that more and more. So Tawana and I are keeping up with that part of the industry, but they talk a lot here about, government involvement and things like that. Here's the last little part here of this article. In the aftermath of 2020's racial justice protests, large corporations pledged billions of dollars to the cause. Lanier Richardson is a gentleman that I interviewed, and he counted 60 billion, and he did not even count all of the money. $60 billion was pledged to Black America. Most of us don't even know, except for a couple of companies, where all of this money is coming from, how it's being distributed, things like that. So Lanier is one of the people, Lanier Richardson is kind of keeping up with the progress that these companies are making. but this is saying here, the article is saying, likewise, various charitable foundations, notably corporate and grant-making foundations, provided billions to support Black businesses. The impact of these contributions remains to be seen. Supporting Black businesses stuck in systems that extract Black wealth is akin to putting water in a bucket with a hole in it. Philanthropic funding certainly provided temporary relief, but we're not going to nonprofit our way to better business outcomes. Now, I agree with that. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And if anybody has other things that they want to say, you can raise your hand. Beulah has a comment here. Our school system has a partnership with Apple for coping. I don't know what coping is. A number of students had an opportunity. If they made an app that Apple thought had widespread use, they would purchase the app from the student. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Does anybody want to talk before I go to the next thing? Or, okay, nobody's raising their hand. So I'm going to show you. Remember I showed you before, actually, let me escape this here. Remember I showed you before this Black demographics thing, this was the Black business job creation. Well, I redid it for what it should be, because I couldn't find any place that had like what it should be. So this is what Black business job creation should be. This is the number of employer firms we should have. So again, the white-owned employer firms could employ 39% of working age white adults, creating 56.8 million jobs. The Asian-owned firms, again, 38% of all working age Asian adults could be employed, creating 4.7 million jobs. These are their actuals right now, 39% and 38%. If we had 39% of our Black-owned firms being employer-based firms, we would create 12.1 million jobs and $2.5 trillion in annual revenues, enough to give every working age Black adult $80,000. Is this something that will be an uphill thing to achieve? Absolutely. Like, I don't have like rose-colored glasses on, right? But is this something that is doable if we come together? Yes, absolutely. Our annual revenue right now with all of the, sorry, take a step back. Right now, Black America has a spending capability of $1.6 trillion. So, you know, just doing this, just adding on more Black-owned employers would bring an annual revenue of 2.5 trillion. So this is a major thing. So increasing Black business employer-based ownership. You know, there are a couple of solutions that I have here. Number one is attending the Bet on Black pitches. So we do still have our thing where if you attend the Bet on Black pitch live, you're entered to win $100 as an Amazon gift card, or you can get the 6 months of financial planning. But part of being able to increase our employer-based ownership is for us to participate in the Bet on Black pitches. Now, we, Botswana and I, believe that you need to come or listen to the replay, look at the campaign page, do your own due diligence, figure out what fits into your portfolio as an angel investor. But if things fit into your portfolio, consider funding a few businesses per year. Next thing is, don't forget to sign up for the expert directory. I talked about that before. Anybody who's a member, you can put your information into the expert directory, whether you have a product, whether you have a service, whatever it is that you do, put it in there so that people can find you. This is how we circulate the Black dollar longer in the community. And if you're an accountant or an attorney or anything like that, this is also how we're able to grow employer-based businesses as well. We need Black-owned accounting firms with 10 to 12 accountants working in there. We need Black-owned business plan writing firms with, 15 to 20 business plan writers just cranking out these business plans, getting this funding for these businesses, cranking out government proposals, things like that. There's no reason why we can't do that. But one of the first things we would want to do is start really utilizing the tools that we have within 10K. So can't say it enough, please sign up for the expert directory. Also, for buying a business, Curtis Witt is having his intro session on Wednesday. And I am going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to put, or Talicia's still here, put that bit.ly, Talicia, that bit.ly link for Curtis's session in the chat for me, please. If you can't find it, let me know. I have it here. But Curtis is having a session, and I want to show you, and I believe Robin is here as well. So Robin, if you want to speak, just raise your hand if you're still here. You can come and speak for a few minutes. But the Business Buying Mastermind class is happening on Wednesday, June 1st, 7:30 Eastern Time. Talicia is putting into the chat, she's putting in the link for you to be able, just go, it's free, go and hear what they're talking about with regards to buying businesses. Once again, for many Black families, if you bought a house and paid for it, and if you just bought a business, you don't have to even finish paying off the debt for the business. You could just buy the business. Most of our families would be millionaires. So, this is what when you click on that link that Talicia's putting in here, you're going to come to this page. TAM Business Dominators Biz Buying Mastermind is happening on Wednesday, June 1st. You can enter this information and they will be sure to send you the link. So want to make sure that you have that. Robin, are you still here? Oh, she had to go. Okay. Well, Robin Mansell is in our Facebook group all the time. She is Curtis Witt's partner. And if you all have questions, you can also ask her as well. Talicia's reminding me about the specials. Thank you so much, Talicia. So yes, we have a dads and grads special right now. You can have membership. Usually our membership is $30 a month or $300 for the year. But we have a special code of graduate 200, and you are able to get the annual membership for $200. Okay, annual payment of $200. And then the financial planning, our financial planning right now is 6 months of financial planning, and we have partnered with Freeman Capital. They are a Black-owned certified financial planning and, as Camari Ellis said last week, financial coaching company, because they're more than just financial planners that take your money and put you into stuff you don't need, right? They really do coach you through, number one, the mindset and the mentality that we need to have in order to improve our financial situations and make them the best possible. And then they also help you with like the strategies that you need personally in order to uplift yourself. And, if you want, like, reach whatever financial goals you have. So if you want to retire, if you want to start a business, if you're trying to get the kid through college, whatever it is that you want to do, It is customized financial planning. It's 6 months. You could talk to people every day or your financial coach every day. If that's what you need, you could talk to them once a week. You could do a couple of initial sessions and then, talk to them once a month. But it's $597 for the entire 6 months. And that's our regular cost. If you sign up during the month of June, Dads and Grads June, use the discount code Financial Plan 450, Financial Plan 450, you are able to get that financial planning for $450. If you're already a member, you go into the Knowledge Center. In fact, let me do this now so that you all can see how to upgrade if you want to upgrade. Just get into my account really quickly so you can see that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go into the Knowledge Center. You want to click My Account. You'll see a photo there, all your information, and click on this thing here that says Upgrade to 6-month Financial Planning. If you are not a member, you'll need to become a member first, and then you'll be able to upgrade this way. Okay? Anything else? I do want to put all of the specials into YouTube and Facebook as well. If anybody wants to come up, you have something to say, you don't have to come on camera. It could just be your voice. But I do want to give people a chance to talk tonight. I didn't have my friend, my co-founder, Tawana, here to be my wingman. So I hope what I said tonight was something that was inspirational. Raise your hand if there is something that you want to say or emphasize or ask questions or anything like that. If not, we're going to shut it down so that you are able to enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day. Okay, well, I don't see any hands coming up, so we are on, we're on a revolution right now. We're on a financial revolution, and I think that number one is it's important for us to get ourselves. Always put the mask on yourself. That's what they say in, on an airplane. You always put the mask on yourself first. So you as an individual, it's important for you to be able to, I say, make money, manage it, and multiply it. So do you have the individual skills that you need in order to make the highest income possible? If not, check the Knowledge Center. We've had all sorts of people coming in to talk about all sorts of jobs that you can get, certifications you can get. I have a woman coming in to talk about more tech certifications, just trying to schedule some time with her. We have people coming in this month to talk about how to, from a business point of view, how to start your e-com company. I think that is next week. That is on the 7th. Yes, on June 7th, we have a woman coming to talk about how to start your e-com company. And then on the 14th, we have a woman coming to talk about how to make money on Airbnb. Part of the trick to making money on Airbnb is to become a super host. So it's easier for people to find your properties in the algorithm and things like that. So her whole thing is, how do we get you to super host, and then how do we maintain you there? Right? So she's coming to talk about that. We have all sorts of things in the Knowledge Center, though, that we've already recorded. I want you to make as much money as possible. And then how do you manage it? If you need help from Freeman Capital, that's a great way for you to get some personalized help. If you aren't ready yet, feel like you have the budget, no problem. There's tons of stuff in the Knowledge Center to help you manage your money. And then how do you multiply it? We have information in there, how to buy tax liens, do stock options, how to raise money for opportunity zones, you know, all sorts of stuff in the Knowledge Center. So I cannot recommend it enough. And we're going to be adding a lot more content in there over the next few months. So I started off by saying you want to start off on an individual level. Number 2 is your family, getting your family's financials together. And then number 3, small groups of us coming together like we're doing at the 10K project, and we're going to get bigger and bigger. But those of us who are super serious about how do we push this ball forward as a community. Like, and I'm a 1, 2, 3 type of person there. So Nicole is saying, thank you. Trinette is saying, thank you for starting 10K Project. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I don't take you being here for granted. Denise is saying, heard anything about the PSLF loan forgiveness? I'm about to send mine now. I know someone that got the balance forgiven. I don't know about that specifically, Denise, but if anyone else knows about the PSLF loan forgiveness, then please let Denise Moore know. Denise is saying, and thanks again for sharing the info on government contracting. I'll be in that session. Fantastic. Brandon's saying, love it, leading by example. Perfect. So thank you everybody for being here this evening. I hope you learned something. And, you know, we are just looking forward to, thanks Latrice, I see you here as always in YouTube. You know, I hope you learned something that is going to be beneficial for you, and please come tomorrow night, 8 p.m. to the Bet on Black pitch. Thanks everybody, take care.